Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Caper Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our I would say two new friends. I mean, one new friend and one returning friend, Alex Batts and Devin Whitlock. We're here to break down the brand new anthology, CyberSync, a cyberpunk comic anthology, and everything in between. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you guys doing?
Thanks. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Excited to talk about CyberSync.
Absolutely. And I mean, before we dive in, big apology too. I slept in a little bit, so I appreciate you two not only being so awesome about it happening, but we literally set this up 15 minutes. It was like, boom, let's go. I'm ready to go. So I appreciate you two making that happen. Alex, I mean, real quick before we get into the big introduction with Devin, Alex, you are a returning guest. The first time we talked about it, we were just talking about like the idea of this, right? We were talking about the submissions, the process. So how's it been since you've last been on the show, and how's it feel to kind of have this already come to fruition? I seen that you guys are already funded.
Yeah, so last time I was on the show was about 6 months ago, so we were in the middle of accepting submissions, if I'm remembering correctly. So we had those wrap, obviously, and like went through all of those, and the process of like going through the submissions and figuring out what stories are going to be in there, and then going from there was really wild. And doing that, and then just like reaching out to all the creators and kind of organizing everyone and getting things put together like that was a lot. But it was super cool. I mean, like, I was just blown away by the responses that we got. I was like, okay, maybe we'll get like 10 submissions, or something like that if we're lucky. And we got way more than that. Like, there are 16 stories in the book. It's an 84-page book cover to cover, which is insane. It's huge. It's going to have a spine, which is super exciting. I'm very, very hyped on that. But yeah, so doing that and then launching the Kickstarter, we launched October 24th, and we funded within like 8 hours, which was
Holy
insane.
crap.
Yeah, it was wild. We were doing Instagram lives throughout the day. We just had different creators coming in and promoting it and stuff. And we were on a live whenever it got funded. It was like 5 p.m. like Central Time or something. And it was crazy to see. It's something that I still haven't really like sat with and kind of like I can say that like the book was funded in 8 hours and like we've made funding and stuff, and like I know that that's a thing, but I haven't really like felt it, kind of, if that makes sense. It's a very surreal thing, because like I've wanted to have a comic like fund or whatever for years now. Like, that's a dream, and it's happened. And it's also just so cool to have it happening with a project that has so many other people involved too. For this to be the first like published work for myself, and then also a lot of the other creators that are involved in the book, is just super awesome. And I'm so appreciative and grateful that like I could be a part of helping that happen, and that so many other people like contributed to it and wanted to make it happen. So yeah, it's been wild. We still have, I think, 10 days left on the campaign, if I'm doing that math correctly. We're at like 80 backers last time I checked, which is awesome. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been super busy and so many things happening, but it's all so exciting, and everyone's been so supportive, and yeah, it's just been great.
That is awesome. I'm happy to hear it. I'm kind of wondering or maybe curious that maybe the fact it hasn't hit you because you still have like the 10 days left, so you're still like on the front lines of campaigning and crowdfunding. You know what I mean? And like once you're done, you can kick back and relax. You'll be like, oh crap, we did that. Like, yeah. We have our good friend Captain B-Dub joining us over on YouTube. Hope everyone is having a good day. Welcome to the stream, B-Dub. It's always awesome and a pleasure to see your face. I hope you are doing fantastic as well. Devin, welcome to the show. This is your first time on. Give us a little bit about who you are and just how you got into creating comics.
Thanks. Yeah, happy to be here. It's funny, Alex mentions like his first time publishing. This is my first time being published. I was joking with a friend of mine, it took 30 years, but I finally got a comic out there. But yeah, 'cause, just life happens. But I've always loved comics. I've been interested in comics. A friend of mine introduced me to was the Vision and Scarlet Witch miniseries back in 5th grade. I won't say when. And yeah, ever since, just always been interested in creating, writing, and so like currently I help run the Chicago Public Library's Comics Book Club, and that's been able to like get the word out about comics. In fact, a lot of our members are actually this is their first time reading comics, like as an art form, or like something other than just like
Mhm.
as like a superhero tie-in. So it's really cool. But yeah, I saw the episode. I watched the episode that Alex was on. That's part of how I got the idea to submit to the CyberSync anthology.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so cool.
And yeah, I immediately was like, oh, this is such a great concept. I need to come up with something for this. But yeah, we don't have any previews for my story because it's only one page.
That's
I mean,
really
it's a great
cool,
page,
though.
though.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
With helping kids find comics. I know being a father and introducing my children to comics it's kind of like, where do we start? Where do you begin? Like, I mean, you don't want to give them something like everyone dies. You know what I mean? Like, they're still a sponge. So it's like, I found these really awesome, like young adultish. It's still like kiddish. Graphic novels and everything, and she's been really getting into that. And it's like, I'm like, when am I gonna slip her like a Batman issue or Spider-Man or something? When you go to introduce these children to comics, like what's kind of like the basis you use? Like how do you get them? Like, do you fit it to their personality, or do you have like a comic that you start with? Like, how's that work?
Well, they're not children. These are yeah. This is
Oh, my
like
apologies, my bad.
an adults book club. Oh no, it's cool.
That's even better though, right? Because
I
everyone
should've
is
been
like your age, so you can be like, check
more-
this crazy shit out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like we, we've got like horror. We do, autobiography, memoir, like journalism comics, all sorts of things. It's kind of funny actually, because like a lot. We started off with the genres that they like to read. Well, the whole thing started off because I went to a different book club, like the regular books for the adults and everything. But they were doing My Favorite Thing is Monsters by Emil Ferris, which is one of my all-time favorites. And so, but they all had such a great time talking about a graphic novel that we just kind of spun off into a comics book club. And so
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. I'm kind of jealous. I'm wondering if that would help me, like with reading. I feel like reading comics is just like a never-ending like suffocation, right? There's always so many new books coming out, and as soon as you get caught up, it's like, hey, here's like 5 different X-Men stories.
Dude, literally, I'm
here's
like,
6.
I'm like 3 to 4 weeks behind on X-Men comics right now, and it's terrible. I'm so mad. Like, it's gonna be so difficult to get caught up.
and there's more coming out all the time too. It's
Yeah.
just-
So, I mean, you got sparked by the show to submit, but where did your idea for your one page come from? I mean, like, how did that end up going for you, Devin? When you seen the show and you're like, I want to submit to this, like, did you already kind of have some ideas already kind of back-ended, or was that something that just popped up for you?
Well, so it's kind of cool. I didn't really have anything locked and loaded. Like some people, they hear, oh, I've got this story, I'll just retrofit to this idea. I had no idea. I just knew that I wanted to do something, and I knew I wanted to keep it to one page to sort of challenge myself to come up with something that's like a complete story, just one page. And my first thought actually was a romance story, like some kind of, what would it be like for a couple to submit to this procedure to be like neural linked together. But I realized that that would be impossible to I could probably come up with something that would be one page long, but then there would be no sense of character. There would you wouldn't get a sense of the relationship. So I decided okay, keep it abstract, keep it broad. And I think I even mentioned this in when I submitted the story, but something that's always intrigued me about the cyberpunk genre is how it applies to philosophy and religion, how do like how would a church respond to this? How would a religious individual, like does the fact that you can upload your consciousness prove that you have a soul or disprove that you have a soul? Yeah,
That's an interesting concept.
So then I took that and thought, like, well, how would a church respond to CyberSync technology? And like you immediately you think, they'll protest it or they'll be angry about it. But that I felt like that was just kind of like an easy way out. That would be the we've seen that story over and over again. So what if we go in the opposite direction and they just fully embrace it and go full-blown zealotry with it, and
Almost
so
like
that's
the unitologist from Dead Space, it sounds like.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Have you ever played Dead Space, Alex?
I have not played Dead Space, unfortunately.
Oh,
I want to get the remake that just
the
came
remake
out.
is fire. So the unitologist, basically, there's the marker causes the necromorphs, zombie-like creatures, kills everybody. The unitologists worship the marker. So the marker's bad, you know what I mean? And the unitologists are like a crazy cult church. They worship the marker and everything.
Okay, very interesting.
Wow, yeah. No,
I thought that was going to be a banger. Both of you guys were like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Over both of our heads.
It sounds amazing. Now I'm actually kind of glad I didn't know about that. It probably would have made me second guess myself the whole way with my story.
How was pairing up with the artist? I mean, this is your first published work. How did it feel to kind of see that your words come to life?
Oh, amazing! To see David Escobar is the artist. I met him through Brian Hawkins. He's a great guy, fantastic editor. But David took it to I wouldn't have been able to. You have an idea in your head of what it could look like. I'm not an artist at all. I can barely draw a stick figure. And so when I sent him the script and then he comes back with thumbnails, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's really cool. And then he to have a fully formed page, it was just oh my god, this is real. It's happened.
Have you ever had previous scripts that you've written, or was this your first? I mean, if it is your first, one page is crazy. That's a crazy task to take on. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was the biggest hurdle for me too. Aside from also just keeping the story to one page, was also how you build suspense when it's a comic page. So the ending is right there for the reader to see.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of had everything build up to this one shocking image, so that way the story itself is kind of whoa, how did we get there? So
Oh, that is awesome. And we're gonna take a few moments to check out this campaign. Before we do, guys, here is the link to check it out. Before we pull it up, get on there, back it while you still can. You have 10 days left to go. Now, Alex, reintroducing you back to the show. It's been a couple months. Give us a little bit about who you are and what you do in the realm of comics.
Yeah, so I am writer, obviously, and also an editor for Apollo City Comics Publishing. So we're an imprint under Lesser Known Comics. And so we have a ridiculous amount of projects that are in the works, actually. Our next anthology, the Shadow Anthology, just closed submissions on Halloween. We actually were just going through that and starting the process from that. Kai Brown, though, she's the one who's running that anthology and kind of going through on that. But yeah, so I do that and help with Apollo City. Also, I'm a co-host on that podcast. And then I do interviews and reviews for CBR, covering different comic titles and talking to creators. And then, yeah, just working on a bunch of other projects. I currently, right now, am beginning the kind of world building and then also plotting stages of the book that is the reason that CyberSync exists, actually, because I had an idea for a Cyberpunk comic that I wanted to do. And Mark Bernal of Lesser Known Comics was like, hey, you should do a Cyberpunk anthology to kind of build some hype and some anticipation and stuff. That way, then you can, go from that to the other comic. So I'm working on that right now, have an artist lined up for it. I
That's
Don't want to
awesome.
say anything yet because nothing's like, we're not far into it, but that's super exciting, and I cannot wait. I will say it is an artist that is involved with CyberSync, so I'll give that one. But yeah, so I'm super excited for that. Just there's a ton of stuff that I'm working on, writing side and things like that. But yeah, it's just super exciting. There's I feel like 8 million things going on, which is fun, a little bit stressful, but stressful in the best way. It's all great stuff and like stuff I love to be doing. So I can't complain.
It's weird. I don't know. I work so much better under pressure. It's like
Yeah.
I would not tell if a normal person's like, hey, how do I do what you do? I would be like, don't. Like you're not. You just don't.
Straight up,
like,
yeah.
But I feel
I
like
also
that's
just-
Go ahead.
I also just started going to school again regularly too, so I'm like, it's so much.
It's like that's the only way we can do it though, right? It's like you have to have so much going on at once for it to all just like cohesively work together. And if it did it would just be like a total wreckage for me, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have time to be bored.
So what's it like doing an anthology? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of stress that comes with it. 16 stories, what, 25 creators if I'm not mistaken?
Yes. Yeah, and it is a lot of stress. No, it's really cool. It's the most rewarding thing I've done. I would have to say I think it's just very probably the craziest thing is that like this was just a random idea that I had, like at the beginning of the year, and we're like talking about it and then slowly like making it a thing and being like,
Mhm.
okay, like we'll do submissions and we'll go from there, and then getting submissions and like going through all that. It's just so surreal to see it as like a real thing, and like I geek out every time. Like Devin earlier, you were talking about like CyberSync technology, like the fact that someone is saying CyberSync technology as like a real thing, and I'm like, that's just a random idea that I had, and now like so many people are involved with it and running with it. It's just really crazy. But yeah, putting an anthology together has been a ridiculous amount of work. It's been I think the most, I don't know, challenging thing, but it's just been a lot to like coordinate with everyone. Everyone's been super supportive though, and like all the creators have been amazing, and it's been very great to like see everyone just seeing everyone be like, oh, thank you so much for doing this and like putting this together and like making this work. And I sit here and I'm like, well, like I know that I am like doing a lot, but at the same time, like most of this book is other people's work, like there's 16 stories, and like my story is only one of them, so like there's 15 other stories that like other people brought to the table and made this happen and made this a thing. And so I just feel really thankful for that. But yeah, it's been, I think one of the things that I was most excited about for it is that I wanted to come at the anthology from a different angle beyond just having a specific genre for it or something like that. And so I was really excited to have the idea for a specific prompt that everyone got to work with and see like the direction that everyone took with that. And it was super, super exciting to see the different stories that people came up with and just the angles that people took that I could not have ever imagined. Like there were it was so cool. There's so many pet stories in this that I was not expecting. Like I think we have like 4 or 5 different stories that are like focused with like a link between a person and a pet, which I don't know why I didn't think about that being an option.
That is so
but,
fucking
like,
cool.
Yeah,
though. I would
yeah.
love
There's
to,
a
like,
lot of them.
sync up
Never
with my
would have
cats.
thought of that.
Yeah, no, we do indeed have a cat like the same story, which is great. But yeah, so I think that was really cool to see, and just the general like excitement that people have shown for it and the response has been so cool. But yeah, it's been a lot. I think putting the Kickstarter campaign together was something that I swear I was making the final touches on that like 20 different times. I was like, okay, like now it's done. And I was like, I have like another thing that I need to add on there. So yeah, that was definitely a lot, but it's the first like Kickstarter campaign I've ever done or put together or tried to do. And so that was definitely stressful. It still is stressful because it's still going, but but I've had so much support through it from Brandon Blocksdorf, who is the co-founder, and he helps run Apollo and everything. He's been amazing and has helped me so much. He's the one who did the punk rock anthology for Apollo City, which is, I literally was just like, hey, I'm just gonna rip what you did with that and do it again for this. And so he's helped me a ton with that as far as the process, and we've been getting better and improving the way that we do the anthology process with that. Like I learned from all of his mistakes with that one to make this process even smoother. And then we've even taken like what I've done with this and made the process even smoother for the Shadow anthology that we're going through now. And then we even have another anthology planned for the beginning of next year So like that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's a lot of like just learning and taking what we've already figured out and going from there. And yeah, just the support in the indie comic community is ridiculous. I feel like everyone just wants to see everyone else succeed, which is the best.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that is awesome. I think right now let's go ahead and pull up the Kickstarter, see all of your hard work, and then see if it's good. If it's not, we're gonna drill you about it.
I know.
No, I'm playing. Setting up a Kickstarter, like building the campaign, seems like it would just be just as complicating too. They're always changing that interface, it feels.
They actually literally just added a new like table of contents feature for the Kickstarter campaigns, where like at the side now you can make different like heading texts, and they'll show up as like a table of contents on the left side. But like we didn't want to use that too much for all of them, because we liked having the like graphics that we're saying, like the covers or like previews and stuff like that. And so we literally had to have a conversation about whether or not we were going to use the like table of contents thing on the side or not, because we were like, well, like I feel like most people are just scrolling on their phone anyways and like aren't going to tab over to like look at the table of contents. So like it was one of those things where we're like, yeah, because you can see them like at the bottom if you scroll like the Taking Punk to the Future and like those kinds of things.
I think Zoop did that, right? Or I know one of the platforms was doing it. So it's like I think Kickstarter's starting to bite off the other ones.
Yeah. But yeah, putting a Kickstarter together is a lot.
So we are looking at CyberSync, a Cyberpunk comic anthology, currently at $2,346 of a $1,000 goal, 83 backers, and 10 days left to go with project. We love. Congratulations on that. Let's go ahead and check out some of the preview pages. Some gorgeous work. We were going through this on backstage, and just beautiful work. So this is from your story?
Yes. So this is page 1 of my story. Yeah, mine and David Lujan's story, who he's amazing. I can't sing his praises enough for the work that he did on here. It's also, like Devin was mentioning earlier, it will never not be surreal to see a script or words that I've written turn into actual art. It is just the most wild thing and the coolest thing ever. And yeah, so it's super awesome. Yeah, I love the work that he did here, and the later pages too are especially like, there's a fight sequence later on that like just knocked it out of the park.
The paneling is awesome too. I just love the way it's done. Gorgeous work. And then our good friend Dan and John. I love to see that they both are working together. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's so John has 2 one-pagers in this, actually, because he has this one that he did with Dan, and then he also has another one that he did just by himself, which was also phenomenal. And so both of those ended up making it, and they're both so good.
So cool. Yeah, this is some gorgeous work. Yeah, right here's another one by John.
Yeah, see, yeah, there's part of the other one from John. Yeah, and then you could see the Cyber Pooch by Ben Collins and Eric. Like, again, more of the pet stuff in there, which I just wasn't expecting that, but all of them were so great, honestly.
It's wild that I'm going to be I follow most of these people on social media, and so like knowing that I'm going to have something with them is like, also surreal. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. John is so good with like branding too, so it's awesome to see that. Yeah.
I mean, that's like he's the one who came up with the whole Get Synced thing, and I was like, man, that was incredible marketing. Thank you. Yeah.
And a cat.
See, there's the giant purple cat, dude. Like, come on, you can't incredible. Yeah.
With the robot leg too, I love it. I love it. That is so cool. And I love seeing, the best part about anthologies is seeing all the different art styles and directions kind of mesh together to form one book. It's, it's awesome.
Yeah, that was
2 different covers
things,
too. Oh, go ahead.
That was one of the things that was super interesting when I went to actually order the book, put the book the stories in order. Because one, you have to think about like the page turns. Obviously, you need to make sure that everything's like on the correct sides. But it was about like one, we have, I can't remember how many, but we have a couple of like black and white only stories, and then also a decent amount of color ones. And so I was trying to find the balance between, like, I didn't want to put all the black and white stories next to each other, obviously. So like spreading those out, and then also trying to spread out the page counts, because we have stories ranging from 1 to 6 pages. So like spreading that out, spreading the colors, and then also kind of spreading out the like themes. Like some of the stories are like lighthearted, and then other ones are very, very dark and grim. And so like trying to find that balance as far as like a solid reading experience, like all the way through, was really interesting. And something where I was just sitting down for like, I don't remember how long, but just like had all the stories like pulled up in front of me and like clicking back and forth and being like, okay, if I can put this one here and then that one there, and that kind of thing. So that was a really fun process. But yeah, definitely something super interesting.
This wraparound cover is. Oh, go ahead, Devin.
When I submitted my story, I was worried that would be too much of a horror story.
Oh no, there is actually, you'll be yours is not the darkest one that's in the book, actually. Yeah, Max Flowers, who did the wraparound cover here, just absolutely crushed it. I gave him no prompt for this cover. I literally was just like, I trust you, just like Cyberpunk, and I know that you're great, so like go wild. And yeah, he just came out with this, which is just ridiculous. It's so good. He also is the one who did all the formatting and the like logo design and things like that for the book, table of contents, like all that good stuff. Max is great. He did also the banners that we have on the Kickstarter that says like the covers and like things like that. Like all that stuff is Max, and he's the best. Absolutely crushes it. I literally could not have made this book without him.
And then we have the other cover as well.
Yeah, Bob Little, which such a great cut. I was so excited whenever I reached out to him about doing a variant. He was like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, awesome. That is amazing. I love his work.
So let's go ahead and check out some of these rewards, you guys. If you're watching, right here is a link to check it out with us. If you're able to back today, we would love to see that, but simply putting this on Twitter and Facebook works just as well. Word of mouth costs you absolutely nothing, and sharing is free. So you can get a digital copy of this for $10. How many pages did you say this was going to be?
So it's 84 cover to cover, so 80 interior pages, because like technically the like front cover and inside cover, and then like back cover and inside cover is like 4 pages. So it's like 80 interior pages. So it's a big boy.
Yeah, awesome price for $10. At $25 we have that physical. Then this is going to have the spine as well.
Yes, so all the physical ones, they will have a spine.
That's awesome.
So excited about I'm excited. Selfishly, I can't lie, I'm very, very excited that I get to have a book that has my name on the on the spine. That's very cool.
Then we have the lesser known comics sci-fi starter pack at $25. So 4 different comics. Awesome. Yeah, this is cool. That's awesome to be in like a little bundle like that too.
Yeah, that one was cool. Coming up with the different like packs and bundles that we were going to do was really fun. So like for the sci-fi one, it's obviously like the other books from other lesser known comics creators that like fit that kind of sci-fi theme, and so that was really fun to put together. Yeah, it's cool.
And then we have the physical coming in just $30 more. You can get hard copies of all those comics. We have the contributor pack right here too. So are these going to be all anthologies or?
So and Outcome the Comics one is the punk rock anthology that we had done, and the other ones are just regular like standard comics. And the contributor pack is cool because those are books from people that are all featured in the anthology. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So like Yuriko is from David Luan, and then Tate McGregor is from Ray Garza, who also has a story in there. And then in Outcome the Comics anthology, there are a couple of different creators in that anthology that are also featured in CyberSync. So like that was a cool one to be like, hey, like all the people in this book also have other books, so like check those out. So that was fun to do.
And then you can get the physical pack coming in at $70. We have the lesser known comic starter pack digital at $55, and then the starter at $115. And then some add-ons as well. So you get this. What is this? This thing looks awesome.
Yeah, so these are Wham stand things. I don't have one physically with me yet, but they are these stands that Wham stand we've partnered with. They're super amazing. They make these like 3D printed stands that you use to like display your comics. So like you can just set your like your single issues or your trades or whatever in there.
Cool.
And the little front logo parts are magnetic, so like we have one for CyberSync and the Apollo City logo on there, but like they make a ton of other ones, so like you can get different emblems from them, and you can just kind of like plug and play the different emblems on the front of there, which is super cool.
And then we have the Tank McGregor and Mechanical Menace as add-ons as well at 11 and 18 respectively.
Yeah, so those are the full graphic novel for Tank McGregor and the Mechanical Menace, which is really fun, which actually I edited the second volume of that book with with Ray, which is very cool. Love that book.
So awesome.
And then we also, they're not on there yet, but we do have, they will be added very soon. We have some prints and some stickers and stuff that we've been working on that we'll be adding as more add-ons as well. So very excited for those.
That is awesome. So there is the campaign in its entirety. With that being said, now we'll start with Alex and then go to Devin. For anyone who might be on the fence about back, and what would you guys like to say to them directly, you know, if you had the chance to kind of help push them over that hump?
I would say that there is just so much in this book that I feel like if you're a fan of comics or cyberpunk in general, like you're going to find something in here that you'll really like. I think, as you were mentioning earlier, with the range of artists on there, like everyone crushed it and brings such a unique style to it and such a unique voice. And it's really been fascinating and exciting to see how everyone approached it and kind of brought their own spin to it. And it's just awesome to see. And it's great to like support, like you can buy one book and support so many different people, which I feel like is just great. Like there's 25 people that contributed to this, you know? And so like, I feel like that's a big enough incentive to be like, yeah, like I'll support this, I'll show up for it. The digital version is only like $10, you know, it's not that much. So if you don't want to spend a lot on it, I totally understand, you know, we're nearing the holidays too and everything, but yeah, it's definitely, I think that there's a lot in there that's very much worth it, and you'll 100% get your money's worth for it. There's like, it's 80 pages, it's a big book, and you know, there's a lot there.
That is awesome. Devin, what about you?
Yeah, same. Yeah, support indie comics, support indie creators. Yeah, help make my dream come true.
Yeah, basically.
There's so much, you know, something for everyone. You know, there's, you know, oh, I don't like, you know, this particular thing. Well, just turn the page to the next story, and then it's something else. That's the best part about anthologies.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like we've got romance, we've got drama, we've got action. There's a heist in there at one point. There's like cats and pigs and dogs that you're like linked with. I mean, we've got it all. Like it's all there.
That is awesome. So outside of the campaign, I always like to end the podcast with two questions, you know, a little bit of advice and then what you guys are consuming outside of creating. So what we'll do is we'll do this a little bit differently. Alex, for anyone looking to run an anthology, what advice would you offer them? And then for Devin, for anyone who is looking to start a script for, you know, for the very first time, what would be some advice you would offer them? Let's go ahead. We'll start with Devin this time around.
All right. Yeah, that's, you know, there are so many resources now. I'm, you know, for how to start writing. I think, you know, my biggest advice would just be to get your idea, you know, out of your head. You know, get it down on paper or a screen, and then, you know, like worry about the formatting later. But you know, once it, you know, you can always like rewrite, you can always edit. But yeah, just start.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's the formatting thing is there's no like right or wrong way to write a comic script, which I think is awesome, but then also very daunting, because I know people are like, oh well, but then what am I supposed to do? And you're like, well, you just do it. Like,
You just do it.
Yeah.
And there, we have more resources now than we've ever had. I mean, you know, like, you know, when I started writing, it was like, you know, you had Understanding Comics and you know, Comics and Sequential Art by Will Eisner. That was it. Now you can, you know, just Google, you know, how to format a script, and you know, how to format a comic script, and
yeah, I think one of the things that I did the most is like reading other comic scripts. Like I know in the deluxe editions for a lot of like Tom King's work, like they'll have the scripts in the back, and like I just read that.
I love when they
like,
do that. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, like I like seeing, because then you can see like the script to the like versus the final thing, and you're like, okay, like this makes sense. I understand how this is working, and so I feel like that helps a lot.
You know, for me, it was like learning what rules were rules and like which ones you could break, which ones you shouldn't. I guess that was the hardest part for me. I know if I probably would have done it without like doing some of the research and classes I took, I'd be doing like 40 word balloons probably.
Yeah.
That's I was about to say, I feel like the biggest thing is like your word count on like bubbles. You just have to
Yeah.
like you can't have it be too much.
Word count is a lifesaver. Yeah.
That
I
and
do that every time. Yeah.
that and then also like panels per page because you do not want to absolutely murder your artist.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
but yeah.
Alex, what
I think
about
that's
someone looking to do an anthology? What would be your biggest piece of advice for them? Outside of trying not to like stress yourself to death.
Yeah, I would say have a clear idea of like what you want to do with it. Like have a very clear goal. I feel like that's the thing that helped me a lot with this. Like I was saying earlier, like I knew that I wanted to do something specific with it as far as the prompt, and that really helped me like guide everything and kind of like I could revert back to that and be like, okay, well, we're going through this. So doing that, and then also just like communicating with everyone. It sounds like kind of a like cop out answer, but like that really is the most important thing, is just being like as transparent as you possibly can with people. Like that's one of the things that I like told all the creators, and we were very upfront about whenever we started accepting submissions. Like we're not going to be making a lot of money from this, like which like it's how it goes. Like we're making the money to print the book to get it out there so that we can have stuff to show people and whatnot. But I feel like it's important to let people know that, because I mean, like and understandably so, of course people are concerned about money and whatnot. Like it's a time investment and things like that, and so that's definitely understandable. But if you're transparent about that and make sure that everyone's on the same page, then it's not a problem, because everyone's just like wants to be there to do the thing and is concerned about that, which I think is good and the healthy way to go about it. So yeah, just like having a clear goal and then being very open and communicating about that, I think. And then also making sure you have a solid timeline as far as like giving yourself time for things to go terribly wrong. Like give yourself the time to be like, okay, everything is going to take longer than we probably think it will, and so letting yourself like be okay with that. Like this has literally been my entire year basically. Like I've been working on this in some form or another since like January. So like,
okay.
it's a long process basically, but it's super rewarding and I think so worth it. So I definitely encourage people to do it.
Outside of creating, what are you guys consuming? Video games, TV shows, books, comics, all of it in between. We'll start with Alex. What have you been up to outside of creating comics?
Man, so yeah, video games, obviously. I've been playing through Spider-Man. I'm probably going to go play Spider-Man
so
after
good.
this, actually.
It's so good.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I want to get back into Baldur's Gate. I haven't touched it in like a month at this point, but that's so good. Reading comics, of course. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind on X-Men right now, which is unfortunate. I am also very stressed about what's coming in January, but that's a whole other thing that doesn't need to get into. But yeah, that, and then movies, of course. I love going to see movies. I need to see The Killer, David Fincher's new movie. I've been hearing a bunch about that, but yeah, so just all kinds of things. And then of course reading. I finished the first Dune book like a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So good. Yeah, stuff like that. And then general, like I try to do a decent amount of like philosophy reading, like a little bit every day too. So just to kind of like get through that. And then podcasts. I've been binging this one podcast called Philosophers in Space. And they like will take every episode, they'll cover like a science fiction thing, like whether or not it be a movie or a show or a story or whatever, and they'll tie in like a philosophical topic to it. So I've been binging that. I literally am almost like caught up to their current day now. They have like a little bit over 200 episodes, and I'm like a couple months. They're in like March, I think, of this year is where I'm listening right now. But yes, I've been going through that. So yeah,
I just picked up what was it, the Jurassic Park books.
Oh, nice.
Because the movies are based off of I didn't know they had books. I just have not had time to sit down and read them. It's crazy when you're an adult, you realize how many movies are just based off of books. And it's
like 90% of them.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. So I'm like, dude, fuck it, I'll get the Jurassic Park books. Like, let's check them out. Devin, what have you been up to, man?
God, I remember reading that book when it came out, and then we heard that there was going to be a movie. Yeah, so well, we just most of my reading is for the book club. Last month we were reading Harrow County Volume 1, and so that I'm like continuing with that because that was great, and I want to read the whole series. This month we're reading Ironheart Volume 1,
Okay.
we have like a requisite like two books a year. So we did Black Panther back in February, and we're doing Ironheart this month. And that's just got me thinking about superheroes in Chicago. So I'm also reading Cowl by Kyle Higgins, and the artist is escaping me.
I love Higgins' work. Have
Yeah.
either of y'all checked out any of the Massiveverse stuff?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I want to say I interviewed one of the writers that has a character in the Massiveverse.
That's sick. All that stuff is so good.
Trying to think. Is it the Melissa Flores? She did
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I had her on the show.
I can't remember which
wow.
one she did.
It's the Unlucky
Dead? The Dead Lucky, right?
Dead Lucky, yes, I think. Or
So
Unlucky
good.
Dead. It's like the pink suit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to get caught up on those. I'm like a little bit behind on all those again now too, because there's just an endless amount of comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Rod Reese, sorry.
oh no, you're fine. See, I thought you were
Kyle
looking
Higgins,
something up,
Alex
but I
Eagle,
wasn't
and
sure. Like
yeah.
sometimes I'm like, I don't know if he froze or if what's he
Yeah.
doing.
No, yeah, just Google out here.
No, that is awesome. So I appreciate you two coming on the show, breaking down this awesome anthology. For everyone that is watching, right here is the link to check it out with us, and back it while you still can, because there is 10 days left to go. That being said, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have a lovely Sunday, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.